Welcome back to Will's Reviews on cooking, grilling, and smoking. Today I've got a really simple but delicious recipe for white bean soup or stew that has spinach and smoked sausage. As usual, I'll walk you through all the steps and then I'll put the whole recipe in the description below. The original recipe came from eatingwell.com. I've modified it quite a bit, but I wanted to give them credit for the original. And the next step is the usual spiel that if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, tell a friend, or most importantly, leave me comments. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see next. All of that is really helpful in my YouTube journey. I'll give you a quick digression on my YouTube journey and then we'll get started on this recipe. I was having trouble with lighting. So when I do videos on the porch like this, I turn on all the lights, I take lampshades off the lamps, anything I could do to make it brighter. My girls gave me a ring light for Christmas. It's supposed to solve all those problems. Well, it kind of did. I'm using it right now. It's nice, even light. It's not so bright that it hurts your eyes. But when I did my first video, I noticed that my eyeglasses had two perfect white circles in the lenses. So, live and learn. As we get started on this recipe, I wanted to give you a bit of a background on how I view these recipes. As I've told you in the past, they're just guidelines, suggestions, experiment, play around, do things differently. When I first tried this recipe, the first ingredient is 2 cups of dried beans that you let soak overnight. Well, I'm a pretty good cook, but I'm not a sophisticated cook. I also married late in life, so I still have a lot of bachelor tendencies. So I saw 2 cups of beans and I'm thinking, I don't know what 2 cups of beans looks like. Guys just want to know, how many packages should I buy? So this is 20 ounces of dried beans. It's all you need. The first time I did this, I thought, man, this is a small pack. I ought to get 2 of these to fill up the crock pot. Bad idea. This little bag will fill the crock pot with white bean soup or stew. The next one was the sausage portion of this. The original recipe called for 6 ounces of feta and spinach, cheese, and turkey sausage. How do I say this? I'm sure it's really, really good. It's just not me. So instead of 6 ounces of chicken turkey sausage, the 1-pound pack of Conecuh smoked pork sausage. This stuff is to die for. So, modification 2. I got lucky on the other main ingredient. It calls for 5 ounces of chopped spinach, 5-ounce pack. So that worked out well. But next, I'll soak these beans overnight and I think it's 8 cups of water. Just follow the directions on the pack. And then tomorrow we'll walk through all of the kitchen steps. So I hope you'll stay with me. Thanks. Good morning. My beans have been soaking all night, so my next steps are to add the beans and these ingredients to my crock pot and then cook on low for 7 hours. Don't worry about specifics right now. They're all in the recipe below, but I did want to share some thoughts with you on favorites and some things I've learned in this cook. This is what I use for chicken broth, and they've got another version I use for beef broth. It's better than bouillon is the name of the brand. You add a teaspoon of this to a cup of hot water and the flavor is wonderful. It's organic, if that's important, but I just love the flavor. The other thing that I learned, this recipe calls for a plum tomato. And as I told you earlier, I'm not a real sophisticated cook, so I was curious why a plum tomato. Googled it, These tomatoes are bred to put in sauces. They have a bolder, richer flavor. They always feel kind of firm to me, but anyway, FYI, I didn't know that. Rosemary, garlic, salt and pepper, standard stuff, all in the recipe below. So let me get this started and then we'll go to the next step. It's been 7 hours and it's time to add the sausage now. The beans have really softened up and the tomato has just pretty much disintegrated. So I'm going to add my sausage, cook it for 20 minutes more, and then we're going to come back and add the spinach and parsley. Just a quick note, I've tried the sausage that thick and it was too big. I've cut it in fourths and it was too small, so I just cut it in half, and it's just a nice bite size. So that's my preference. So here's the sausage. 20 more minutes and we'll come back and add the greens. The sausage has been in for about 20 minutes, so it's time to add the greens, which is the final step. I did want to give you a warning, and this is one of those do as I say and not as I do. When I set this up originally, I put the beans and the chicken broth and all that in, and I set it on low for 7 hours and walked away. Well, at the end of 7 hours, the crock pot goes from low back to warm. You need to turn it back to low so that it gets hot enough to cook the sausage. So just a word of wisdom. So now I'm going to add parsley, half a cup, and the spinach. On the spinach, what I did is I poured it into a big bowl, took out a handful at a time and kind of ripped it in half. So it's smaller than it was, but it's still pretty rough. And I'm going to stir this for a minute or two just to get it well mixed. So this is going to take a little while, so I will come back, show you the final product, and then we'll have a taste testing. I've got all of my spinach and parsley stirred in well, and I'm going to leave it about 20 more minutes just to let all the flavors blend. My last thought is, once I got all of the greens added back in, I turned it back down to warm instead of low. I just want this to blend. It really doesn't need to cook any more than this. So, and I also looked at the last clip and realized I forgot to turn on my new lighting that my daughters gave me. So forgive me, I'm learning, I'm getting better. So this is pretty much the final step. I'll make a bowl of this and tell you what I think, and see you in a minute. Okay, here's the final taste test. Every time I make this recipe, I'm just amazed at how good it is. It's also probably the easiest recipe that I've posted so far on my YouTube channel, so I hope you try it. It's just too easy and too good not to try. My final thought on this is, why do people like me just get out their crock pot in the wintertime? This is really, really good, and I don't know why I don't cook things like this all year long. So I hope you'll try it, and thanks very much for staying with me. I'll have another video in about 2 weeks. In the meantime, take care.